Grow Great is a city government leadership podcast with Lisa Norris and me, Randy Cantrell. Each week we share insights, experiences, and wisdom to help you and your leadership grow great. Our website is growgreat.com.
Being true to yourself. A question that comes up in leadership over and over and over. Stay true to who you are. We've talked about it on this show. As you develop, not only as just a professional generally, it is, I've had people, we were talking before we clicked record, that I've had people come up and, I just want to be a leader like, I want to be like so-and-so. I want to be like you. I want to be like X. And I try to always encourage them to demonstrate the traits and learn leadership from them is great. But don't be somebody else, just be you. And I sent a quote to Randy that I thought was powerful and emphasized this, that says, and we'll put it in the show notes, be silly, be fun, be different, be crazy, be you, because life is too short to be anything but happy. And if you're working and striving to be somebody else's personality or somebody else's style, man, you're going to be just spinning your wheels forever, right? Just be true to who you are. Find your joy, which is a little different than happiness, but find your joy and focus on being the best you can be, and then gaining traits and skills and insights from others to continue developing yourself. But man, I'm a laugh. I love to laugh. I love to play. I do that in the workplace. That's all I know how to be, is be me. And me doesn't change ever. It doesn't change in a tough situation. It doesn't change in a fun situation. One thing I feel confident, if you asked anybody that knows me, including our audience members, I am the same Lisa day in, day out, through trials, through tribulations. I might be a little bit more sad one day, might be a little bit more happy another day, but I'm the same me over my 55 years now that I have always been. And it's genuine, and people see that, and it will establish trust.
Where did self-awareness come into any of that for you?
I think for me, that started with my parents. My dad, who's now passed, he and mom always just pushed, maybe not in the words be you, but they always pushed, you have to be genuine, be kind, don't change for somebody. Even when I got married, I remember my mom and dad sitting down with me and saying, listen, don't change who you are. Nobody should try to change you. And Don hasn't. He's embraced the weaknesses I have. I'm sure you've experienced that. You have a strong relationship with Rhonda. Don doesn't try to change me. He accepts the weaknesses that I have, and he owns them to shore them up, because he's really good at my weaknesses. He's really great and
Rhonda
has strengths
just gave
where
up
I don't.
on it.
She did. She's like, okay, we're just not going to even try to address it.
She's like, okay, well, this clearly is not going to, this clearly isn't going to be favorable. So,
well, when you look at that, and I give an example, because Don and I have talked about this before, and he's like, I just wish you'd remember to get your phone and your water and, at night, and plug your phone in so you can actually wake up to your alarm, and we'll laugh, it's to that extent. But over time, you know what he did? He didn't turn that into a negative and say, dang it, Lisa, you have got to do, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He follows me around now. Just follows me. I go into the bedroom. He brings my phone, plugs it in. He brings my water, puts it on the nightstand.
Right.
You know what I mean? He doesn't say a word, and he doesn't hold it hostage or
beat you over the
resentful.
Head with it. Yeah, right.
He just does it because you know why? He's supporting me and lifting me up where I have a gap. Yeah. And I hope he can say that I do the same thing for him. When we talked about memory, he's like, I wish you could do this. I said, listen, you can wish all day long. That is the way God built my brain. It ain't changing. I just don't have a good memory. I can try my best. I have to make lists, but I cannot change the way God built me. I have to work around it. And he embraced that and does the same thing. And I hope, like I said, I can say the same thing. He can say the same thing for me, that I've also managed what he might feel is one of his gaps. And I've lifted that up and hopefully support him through those.
Yeah, at a high level, we've all got weaknesses and we've all got strengths. And it could be argued. Gallup in their whole strengths finder thing makes the argument, a compelling argument, thanks to the research of, Donald O. Clifton, who was the father of the whole thing. Soar with your strengths. That if we'd push more of our chips in the middle of the table and bet on our strengths, not ignore our weaknesses, try to shore those up so they're not problematic, but not give them all the attention in the world.
Right.
And it's that age-old story of, Junior comes in with a report card, and the report card is pretty good, except there's one really bad grade. And as parents, what do? We focus, what is this?
Why are
what
you getting a B?
Yeah, what is this one bad grade? And we can all tend to do that. So listen, Lisa and I are not at all advising or cheerleading for anybody to just, hey, I am what I am, I lie. I'm just a compulsive liar. That's just what,
Yeah, embrace it.
Yeah,
No.
we're not saying embrace.
Good point, Randy.
Those things that are problematic for us, we can absolutely improve. If we didn't believe that, we wouldn't be doing this podcast. The whole podcast is focused on, yes, we can do some things better.
That's
we
right.
can get better. We can learn some things. We can figure some things out. We can better understand some things. And if we will practice them, they
Right.
can become part of who we are. You have gone on record and said that just our time together made some positive differences and changes. We talked about it in our Thanksgiving show. We thanked all these people that made a difference for us. So that change and that growth makes us better. But I'm kind of fascinated with self-awareness, because an awful lot of us struggle to really know ourselves, especially today. It was brought home to me. I'm a hopeless insomniac, and I don't play the guitar, but I'm fascinated by it and have been all of my life. And I know
Even
way
Dawn.
more about guitars and guitar playing than a person who doesn't play should.
Right.
But I'm watching a couple of guys who play for famous rock bands, and they're having this conversation on YouTube. It's the lead guitarist of Pearl Jam. It's the lead guitarist of the Foo Fighters, and they're having this online conversation. And these are guys my age. I mean, these are old guys. Well, okay, one is, and they're talking about how they learned to play the guitar, and they're just listening to records, right? They're lifting the needle, they're playing, and they don't have YouTube. They don't have the internet. They're not seeing where guys are putting their fingers on the guitar. They're literally having to figure this out.
Right.
And they made an interesting observation that in their day, doing it that way, they felt was beneficial, because now there's so much information, there's so many videos that you can
You
really
get lost in it.
Yeah, you just get completely lost in it, and there's so many choices, and as a result, it could be difficult for people to execute, because you can't execute all of it.
That's right.
You've kind of got to pick something and stay with it for a period of time. And I think about that, especially as it relates to this, us being us, because of the world that we live in. And I'm not this old fogey. I love it. I love the technology. But we do have all of this exposure now and all of this visibility of so many other people that can influence us, who really aren't part of our life except by way of the internet or social media. And we can think, well, that's the way to be. That's the way to do it. And I think, to the point of what Lisa and I are trying to convey today, is we do have to be ourselves, especially when it comes to our strengths and to mitigate our weaknesses, and when it comes to our personality, and when it comes to the way that we communicate. Can we improve all of that? Of course. Of course. I'm hoping all the time to be a better communicator, but I'm a word guy. I like words. I like conveying words. I like listening to words being conveyed. I love my wife very, very much, but she's not near as verbal as I am. I'm real verbal. She's way less verbal. Neither one of us is antisocial. It's just different. We're just different. For her to be like me or for me to try to be like her, it would be frustrating for both of us. And so I think that's kind of the point. Can we know ourselves well enough to know what strengths we have, where we can really soar? And I think to the point of your quote, being silly, fun, different, crazy, that may be part of that may be easier for you than it is for somebody else. But I still think that it speaks to, we can still embrace the joys. That's the word that fits for me. The inner joy that I could feel knowing that I could make something kind of fun. I could make something be a more pleasant experience that might otherwise not have been a pleasant experience.
Yeah,
And
when
I'm snarky, and I like to cut up and crack jokes. I don't describe. I'm not silly. Nobody that knows me would describe me as silly. Most everybody that would describe me as sober. I'm a sober-minded person. I was when I was a little kid. I still am today. And so I think the more time that we spend with trying to know ourselves and figure ourselves out and where we can really most make the difference. And for me, that's the cause. That's the whole impact, is how can I make a more positive impact on other people and in my own life and whatever influence I've got. And I believe the quote, I don't know about happiness, for me, that's...
Yeah, I always call it joy. That's the only thing I would differ. Because happiness is in a moment to me. It's
me
not
too.
Internal as joy. You have to have that.
I agree.
But what I think for my point I'd like to make is, be the best you can be. Don't try to be the best. I don't want to try to be the best Randy I can be, right? I need to be the best Lisa I can be. And you have to focus on that. But you're exactly right. That doesn't mean if you have a stubborn streak, if you are performing poorly at work, if you are considered, I don't know, verbally aggressive or something like that, that you should just stay true to yourself. You need to modify those things for success in life and in work. Like you said, you do need to have awareness around your gaps and work to improve them. But when we're talking just as a person, do not try to emulate and be somebody else because that's what you like to see. Take their traits, take their strengths, draw upon those and work to improve yourself to just become a better you at the end of the day.
Well, I grew up running retail companies, and it was kind of a common phrase, I guess, among those people in retail. And this is back when I'm so old. I remember when Walmart really wasn't Walmart. They were kind of country stores in small towns, and when they really became Walmart, those of us in retail, and I was never in that kind of a space. I was always in the higher end of retail. But there was the adage, you're not going to out Walmart. Mm-hmm. And all that means is, and where that applies here is, I'm not going to out Lisa. Lisa's not going to out Randy. And
nor should we try.
No, there's the rub. I think the rub is, don't even pursue that. Right. It's a lost cause, because the things that may work for Lisa, the things that have worked for me may not work for you because you're not us.
That's right.
And this is why this whole thing it's all over the website. It's all over. Go to growgreat.com, and just a cursory look will show you in a phrase, it's figuring it out.
That's right.
The reason that Lisa and I can't write a book, or we can't do some one long marathon podcast that will give you all of the answers and all of the secrets and all of the formulas, is because there isn't one.
We're not you.
Yeah, there aren't any. Are there some principles? There are, and we keep talking about those. We fixate on the 5 things that, Lisa has dubbed the recipe. We keep focusing on those things because those are kind of high level principles that can be put into action. Can we all do that? We can, but we've got to put those in the context of who we are and what we bring to the party and how we roll as leaders.
And, when we talk about this, when we talk about being silly, be fun, be different, be you, life is too short. That's a fact. Randy, you and I were just talking about how 2023 has flown by. I mean, we are about to be mid-November next week, mid-November. And it seems like yesterday.
I'm so old, I'm now able to collect Social Security, people. I mean,
not yet. I'm not there yet, Randy, but I'm getting there.
I have hit the milestone. So, yeah, life goes by really quickly.
Life is short. You look back and it has just flown by. And, as we talk about, you can try to emulate things, you can try to glean, you can try to put things into play. When I talk to individuals, and I just spoke at a Cedar Hill leadership retreat on our recipe a little bit, and one of the focus points is, of course, just being you and staying true to who you are, but it is also just about this pursuit of finding one thing. You have to reach one to teach one. And I say that when you're talking about being the best you have to find ways to reach the people that you're trying to influence, which means recognizing how each of us is different. And we may hear something different. We may learn something different. We may, I'm a tactile learner, not an audio learner. You're going to have people that learn well by listening, that learn well by seeing, that learn well by doing. You have to start recognizing how people are influenced through words and actions in order to be able to influence them to become better. So that also relies upon you, and not expecting. So many leaders, and I don't know if you've experienced, Randy, so many failures in leadership are because they impose upon another person. They want them to be like them. I want you to do this like I would do it. If that doesn't work for them, you're setting them up for failure. You need to find ways that help them to become successful in a journey that works for them, in a style that works for them. You have to listen. You have to really absorb where their strengths are and how to draw upon that to make them better and learn through that method. But if you don't reach one, I say reach one, which means you have to really figure it out, as we talked about, of how can you impact them and influence them to become better? That's the trick. That's the hard part in this. Life is short. You can say all the words you want. If they aren't an audio learner, it's not going to work. My biggest challenge now is I'm a tactile learner. I've got 4 directors. I cannot possibly learn how to do fleet, facility services, construction projects, build a radio tower. I cannot do that. I don't have the skill set. So I'm having to change my style to learning about the business and repeating what I've heard so that I can support my departments now. It's different than being in the HR industry where I know it like the back of my hand. I can actually tell you how to get it done, show you where to get it done, and actually demonstrate it. Well, I can't do that in these areas. I've got to learn these departments. So, you have to learn how to reach them. A great example of this that I go back to Dawn and I in marriage, because this applies in life and work. When we got this land, we got a tractor. I've been a city girl. My grandpa took me fishing and that's how I learned to fish when I was young. But we have a tractor that has 1 million levers, buttons. Levers go sideways and they go up and down. And then you've got switches and handles and a front thing, a front bucket, a back thing that you attach. I don't even know what they're called, attachments. But I remember, Don would go over this with me, and he was a good instructor. This is what you do. Remember, you have to turn the switch. You have to wait for the squiggly lines to go away so the oil gets through the machine. I mean, he's going through this. Well, guess what? You remember I said I don't learn well by audio. So he's walking through it. Next weekend comes. Well, for Lisa Norris, Next weekend means everything you told me last weekend is not in my head anymore.
Yeah, well, we already know you don't have a good memory. So
I
there's that.
don't. I don't. And remember how I said I'd learn.
How do you
so
even
anyway,
get
we
out
go
of bed in the morning?
I know. So we go through this whole exercise and go through it again. And Don said, okay, remember, when you get on, I'm going to have you mow today, because I wanted to help him. I said, I want to help.
Yeah.
So I get out there. I literally get on the machine and I do this. I went, and I turn the key and look at him, and he's like,
Yeah,
and
right.
for the audience not watching, he's like nodding his head, like
Yeah.
confirming, yes, turn the
Yeah.
key, But all that to be said, he learned my style, and through the learning lesson, he recognized quickly. I said, I know you've told me this 5 times. I do not remember what all these levers are for and how to get the mower in the back to go down and the bucket to go up. So I'm not dragging a bucket on the front and a mower on the back.
Right.
And so what he had me do, knowing my learning style, he goes, okay, I'm going to go have you mow here. And it's huge. We were mowing our yard, which is, a half an acre or better.
Right.
And he goes, I'm going to have you mow here first, so you get used to the levers and up and down, because you have to lift it as you're going over these different ridges and stuff. It's not just flat. Then he moved me to the part that's it's much smaller, very bumpy. It had ruts and tractor. And he goes, you're going to have to remember to go up and down on your thing, or it's going to bog out and die, which it did twice because I didn't remember.
Of course it did.
And then when it died, he goes, how do you restart it? I'm like, okay, I got to wait for the squiggly. And I started repeating it. And he's like, right. Well, by the time he had me do all the mowing, now it's stuck. Yeah, I had it down. And so I said, I want to mow the rest of the property. I want to go mow our lanes. He goes, I'm going to follow behind you in the UTV in case you forget, which he did.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
And did you forget?
I did. No. Once I got it,
okay.
A couple of times when it bottomed out and I couldn't get it to restart, he had to help me because it was just something new. But he learned my style and then let me confirm it through my learning. He's the type that you tell him something, it's there. Mm-hmm. It's locked in.
Right.
He remembers people's names from 40 years ago in high school. They're still friends.
I hate people.
That is not me.
No, me neither.
I do not remember it. But that's a great example of he didn't try to apply how he learns. He listened to how I learn and then recognized quickly what I said is true. I'm not remembering. So he showed me and then had me repeat it and repeat it and repeat it through actions. Then I got it. And when you talk about reaching one to teach one, he was able to reach me and recognize that is how she learns. So it's just an example in life that applies to work when we're talking about, be you. He didn't try to have me be somebody else. He had me be Lisa and said, she doesn't remember. So I'm going to have to show her and let her practice it to get it. And now I mow. I can help him with the property. It's a win for him and a win for me.
Well, and that's the reason that ingredient number 4, understanding, and ingredient number 5, compassion, are really important. Not that the others aren't, but as it pertains to this conversation, those are really important for you to understand yourself. But we've also got to understand our people. We've got to understand the people that are on our team and those differences and respect that and not put some expectation on them. I refer to it all the time because it still is so pithy. The Einstein quote, fish don't climb trees. So if you've got a fish on your team, don't ask them to climb a tree because fish don't climb trees.
So many people place judgment.
Yeah.
The one thing I try to encourage the team not to do. Yeah, judgment is easy. Quit trying to judge them because they're not like you. They didn't learn the same way you did. They don't know how to do a spreadsheet and you're really great at spreadsheets. Find what they're really great at and focus on that. Or if they need more help, you're going to have to find different ways. That is probably the number one issue I deal with when people are trying to teach, is they try to teach with what they know is easy for them. And they think that should be easy for everybody else. And it is just not. Yeah.
Just because it worked for you doesn't mean it'll work for everybody.
That's right. And so I do I try to tell them, check understanding. But again, it's just being true to you. And when you're trying to be true to you, be true to them. Make sure you're watching on how they learn and asking questions and checking understanding, because you want them to have the same success you had, but it may not be in the same way you did it. It just may not be.
All right. Parting shot on the fun part of this and having fun. And that can look like different things for different people. It could be belly laugh for some, but it could be way more subtle for other people.
Mm.
So put a bow on this. Tell us what you're thinking when it comes to having fun at work.
Well, those that know me, you said you have difference. I am the silly, I'm the fun, I'm referred to as crazy often, right? I mean, I just am. I'd like to have a lot of laughter at work. They also know I like to get a lot done. There's a time for play.
They also know that that's you. Like, I know that that's you, and I know that's not me. I have great appreciation for it, and I can embrace it, but it's not necessarily how I'm wired.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go to Randy and say, Randy, can you plan our celebrations for the year in HR? Yeah, and I want it to be a lot of fun and a lot of laughter, and I want you to do scavenger hunts. It's just that would not work. You'd immediately go, not your guy.
Yeah, I would exactly.
The man of few words.
Yeah,
not your guy. So, if you want to have fun, you can have fun. You just got to be respectful for those around you, because I have had many that are very shy. They don't want to be in the forefront, but guess what? They're great planners. Mm-hmm. Again, so Tom Hart was a big fun person. He liked to have a lot of fun. He did a lot of pranks in the workplace that often backfired. He could tell you those stories.
Yeah.
Because what's funny is he'd do pranks and then he'd forget that he did the prank, and then it needed to have a button to close the prank, and he'd forget that he did it.
Right.
There's lots of stories I can tell you that are greatness.
That's
but if you want to have fun, but recognize people around you may be quieter and they may not like that. They'll participate. I always just tell them, just participate. You don't have to be me. I'm not going to be you. But I try to be respectful of how everybody is, how they were built. You talk about how you're wired. You just got to be thoughtful about that. It doesn't matter if it's in our quote, the be silly, be fun, be different, be crazy. If they're different, they're different. Celebrate it. Celebrate fun when it's time to have fun. And if they don't want to celebrate fun, just have them celebrate with you in their own way. Just as long as it's a team, just as long in life, it's your family and your friends. We're all different. God made us different. I love different. If there was a whole bunch of me, everybody would be exhausted.
Thanks for watching and listening to Grow Great, a city government leadership podcast. For Lisa Norris, I'm Randy Cantrell. Be well, do good, grow great. The website is growgreat.com.